So, what do you think about mandatory gun owner liability insurance? This is Alan with Quarter Horse Arms, and in this podcast, kind of want to explore the whole idea behind mandatory liability insurance for gun owners. It kind of triggered me to do some research after I saw a little blurb about San Jose requiring gun owners to have some sort of insurance. And then I did a little more digging, and of course that led to more digging. And so one of the things that I walked into was an article in the Washington Post talking about this. And I think it was from March or April of 2022. And the reason I got intrigued by it is because some rocket scientist senator has thrown this out again. And there are several states that currently have legislation on the books, or somebody needed to get reelected and thought, hey, why not? So the first thing I found was the comparison was people have to have insurance for cars. Why wouldn't you need it for your guns? Well, on the one hand, one's a constitutional right, and the other is a privilege. I mean, I guess I could view it both that, you do something really stupid, you've lost the right or privilege of owning the gun, but that's neither here nor there. And then it occurred to me, as I'm ruminating over this, is I have to pay potentially liability insurance for the fact that I have a gun. But then I thought about my car insurance, and I actually have to pay a fee in case somebody who's not insured gets in an accident with me. So not only do I have to pay my insurance, I got to pay potentially the other guy's insurance. So seems kind of dumb. The other thing that it kind of kicks into is we start looking at economic bias. Are we looking at a form of racism? Economic bias meaning that people that can't afford it are now not going to be able to enjoy a constitutional right of owning a firearm because they can't afford the insurance. And I think I saw in San Jose, their law says, everyone pays I think it's $25 a year. And if you can't afford it, we'll waive the fee. Well, if you're going to waive the fee, why have it in the first place? And that was just one place. And it seems weird. But, again, they're talking about saying that having such liability insurance would incentivize gun violence reduction. Well, the last time I checked, and I'm pretty confident about my answer, is I haven't gone around killing anybody or committing armed robbery. So, will it reduce violence? No. Do I think it'll reduce violence? No. Do I think it has a slight possibility of reducing violence? Absolutely not. If I'm going to commit a crime, why would I want to bother with insurance in case I accidentally shoot somebody? I want the money. I don't want anyone else to get the money. And it's generally not the responsible gun owners who are committing the crimes. And the reason I can say that is, well, I wound up doing some more research on this topic. And there were two pieces of information that I dug out from, I don't even remember where it was, but it was within, I think, the past 6 months, so last half of 2022. And it said 90% of the prisoners who were involved, had a crime involving a gun, they weren't the retail purchaser. And of all the people that had committed a crime with a gun in this particular survey, only 1.3% actually bought the dopey gun. So what they're saying is, and I'm not a math whiz, but that 98.7% of the crimes were committed by people who did not buy a gun. And so I'm not sure how you're going to have insurance companies incentivize it, because as you know, I was again digging through more research. Does that mean the insurance companies get to decide who gets a gun? And one of the proposals was, hey, if you have some special things like a safe or a gun lock, you might get better rates. And again, the analogy was putting gun liability insurance and car insurance in the same pot. Well, there's no incentivizing being a good driver. In point of fact, only one or two insurance companies give you some sort of benefit for being a good driver. Most of them penalize you when you're not. So, does that mean my rates go up if I accidentally shoot somebody? Kind of an interesting concept. And, you know, if you're the one I shoot, am I going to go, hey, don't worry, man, I got insurance. You're good. I wonder if it'll cover getting the blood stains out of my carpet, though. I have no idea. Okay, and so these, you know, the same geniuses that, you know, were proposing all this legislation, never talked about, they were actually talking about, I'm sorry, I'm tripping over words. They were actually talking about holding a gun owner accountable if their gun is used in a crime. Well, you know, I have mixed thoughts on that. I mean, one is, it got stolen. I don't care how they got it, unless I was stupid enough, you know, to give a guy on the street a gun, you know, that's on me. But if the gun was stolen and I reported it stolen, why would I still be liable for it? It's not like I had a sign on my door, say gun stored here, and have a flashing arrow pointing at the gun safe. I'm sorry. That's not reality. And then I then had to go do a little more research, you know, and most of the insurance stuff I found, they call it gun liability insurance. A lot of it has to do with concealed carry. A lot of it has to do with what happens if you shoot somebody. And, you know, it can range anywhere from, I guess, $75 a year to about $300 a year. And frankly, I wasn't that interested to look stuff up. Well, with one exception, I did get curious. And the one thing that I ran across, and I'll do this before I get to the interesting insurance stuff, was I found something from NAMIC, the National Association of Mutual Insurance Companies. They published a letter in 2014. So when this stuff first started rearing its ugly head, senators and Congress critters are proposing, hey, we're going to require insurance. Well, this was basically a white letter from this organization that says, well, you can make it a law. Who the hell says we have to provide it? Kind of a GameStop right there. And then they went further to address that at no point does this compare gun liability insurance to car insurance. They're two completely unrelated issues. And then, besides the fact that they can decide not to actually have the insurance, I mean, it's not like the government can force someone to go into business. They continue with, you know, the whole concept of just because you have this great idea doesn't make it a good idea. And they actually pointed out that, you know, some of these guys may, and I mean guys, I mean legislators, I don't care if they're men or women, it really doesn't matter. But it's just another case of, I want to call them stupid people, but I'm not sure that that's accurate. I'll call them opportunistic, meaning they need to get reelected, so they're going to jump on something. And so the other thing the insurance agency, I'm sorry, I kind of got off on a tangent there. This NIMAC came out with is the fact that a lot of people already have liability insurance. Some renters, and I think the estimate, and this is, again, 2014 when they came up with these numbers, was something like 30 or 40% of renters have renters insurance. I think it was over 90% of homeowners have insurance. And a lot of people have what's called an umbrella policy, which is specifically designed for, something bad happens on or around your property, or whatever, and they're going to sue you. And if you're like me, you're not wealthy, and so the weird thing with this is you can wind up getting sued for a lot more than you're worth. Well, the umbrella policy is usually good for, I guess, depending on the policy, anything ranging upwards to about $2 million. I know I have one. I have no clue what the value is. I guess I probably should find out. Pretty sure it's not $2 million though. So the question is, are you going to require people to do something they already have? And what incentive are you going to give the insurance company should they offer this insurance? Kind of an interesting conundrum there. It would look really stupid for Congress to bring into legislation you must have gun owner insurance, and the insurance companies basically give the government the finger and says, screw you, it's not worth our time. We have no interest in it, and even if we did, we're not going to do a thing until we take a closer look at it. Then you have to survive the lawsuits that are going to come right back at the government over requiring things of people. I mean, so I'm going to have to be, potentially have to pay a liability insurance for owning a gun. Well, does that mean Mountain Dew should be providing dental insurance for rotting teeth? I mean, at some point, people have to step up and take responsibility. I'd like to think that if I had to shoot somebody, I would hit the target. I mean, there's no guarantee. And yes, I understand that I own the bullet from the time it leaves the gun. Well, actually, I own the bullet before I fired it. But I own the bullet from the time it leaves its gun until the time it stops. And hopefully without hitting an unintentional target. So then, just to go back to the original thing, I found some insurance company online that said, do you want to see a sample policy for your state? Now, I live in North Carolina, so, it doesn't actually say how much it costs. I really didn't feel like filling out any information. But it gave me a sample. And so there are some weird things and exclusions, like, in my house, if you accidentally shoot me, I'm not covered by the insurance that I'm paying for because somebody else in the house did the shooting. Or anyone else that's covered under the policy. So if it's accidental and it's done by somebody covered by the policy, I'm shit out of luck. Then it says, other funny ones. And, and again, I'm just kind of running through this. It says, it doesn't cover you for any personal or bodily injury or property damage involving the use, loading, or unloading of an aircraft, automobile, watercraft. So if you have it and you hit a bump on a wave and the gun goes off, if it hits you, you're screwed.